We've all heard it, right? Don't judge. It gets thrown around all the time, sometimes to shut down a conversation. But is that really the whole story of what Jesus meant? Today, we're going to dig into the surprisingly deep and challenging teaching of Jesus on this very topic. So, that command, it seems simple enough, doesn't it? Do not judge. But if you've spent any time at all in the Bible, you know it's just not that straightforward. Is this supposed to be some kind of total ban on evaluating anything? Or is there a really crucial distinction that maybe we're missing? All right, so first things first, before we can even begin to understand what Jesus taught, we have to get a handle on what judgment even is and why it's such a universal human thing. Look, we make judgments all day, every day. It's just how our brains work, how we navigate the world. But when we start talking about judging people, well, the stakes get a lot higher. The real question isn't if we form opinions, but how we form them, and more importantly, the attitude that's behind them. And this is where it gets dangerous. We make these snap judgments, right? We put people in boxes. Lazy, arrogant, selfish. And when we do that, we build these walls. We stop seeing a whole, complex person, and all we see is a simple label. And that makes real compassion, real understanding, almost impossible. So into this world of easy labels and pretty harsh judgments, Jesus steps in and introduces a completely different way of seeing things. And honestly, it was nothing short of revolutionary. You see, where the religious leaders of his day saw an opportunity to condemn, Jesus saw an opportunity for compassion. Instead of piling on more rules and more burdens, he offered forgiveness. His message was this radical shift away from a system of judgment and toward a way of mercy. And this right here is so important to get. He didn't just throw out moral standards. Not at all. But he applied them with this laser focus on restoring people, not condemning them. He actually went out of his way to show compassion to the people on the fringes of society, the exact people everyone else was so quick to judge. Okay, but this brings us to a really tricky part, a seeming paradox in the texts. If Jesus was all about compassion, why does the Bible also seem to call for some kind of judgment? Let's unpack this. So you've got this tension. On one hand, the command, do not judge, is clearly aimed at a hypocritical, self-righteous attitude. But then, other parts of the Bible call us to use righteous discernment, to wisely and lovingly call out harmful behavior for the good of the whole community. So what gives? How can both be true? Well, the key is realizing it's not actually a contradiction. It all comes down to the posture of our heart. The goal is to find that balance. Are we judging someone just to condemn them and feel better about ourselves? Or are we discerning something with a spirit of love and humility, genuinely hoping for what's best for that person? And this leads us to what is probably Jesus' most famous and most powerful teaching on this whole topic. This is the one that flips the entire concept of judgment right on its head. This is the mic drop moment. Seriously, before you even think about pointing out that tiny little speck of sawdust in someone else's eye, Jesus tells us to look in the mirror at the giant wooden plank sticking out of our own. The very first and most important step is always looking at ourselves. And then he just drives the point home with the golden rule. How do you want to be treated when you mess up? Do you want harsh condemnation? Or do you want a little understanding and a chance to make it right? That simple principle, that's our guide. So this is all pretty profound and, let's be honest, challenging stuff. But it's not just a nice idea, it's meant to be lived out. So what does this actually look like in our relationships, in our communities? How do we move this from theory into practice? The first step is always an internal one. Before you say a single word, you have to ask yourself, what is my motivation here? Is this really about helping the other person, or is it about making myself feel superior? Is my goal to build them up, or is it to tear them down? The answer to those questions tells you if you're practicing discernment or just being judgmental. So really, you can boil it all down to these 3 clear, actionable steps. Number 1, look in the mirror, deal with your own plank first. Number 2, if you still feel you need to say something, approach with love, privately, and gently. And number 3, always offer grace, remembering that we all mess up and we all depend on it ourselves. And these habits are so crucial for making this a reality in our lives. Instead of just waiting for our turn to talk, we actually listen to understand where the other person is coming from. We recognize we don't have all the answers, and we ask for wisdom. And ultimately, our goal shifts. We're trying to build bridges, not just win an argument. When you put it all together, you realize this is about so much more than just being nice. This is a revolutionary act of love. It takes incredible humility, incredible strength, but choosing grace over harsh judgment, man, that has the power to transform not only our own hearts, but our families, our friendships, our entire community. So the final challenge then isn't to look at others, it's to look at ourselves. In your own life, at work, at home, with your friends, where is that one spot where you might need to just pause, deal with your own plank, and choose grace instead of judgment?